First step pad, so it's a little rusty, but things are going really well. The deep front's playing really well. I think overall, all positions, there's some guys flashing, so that's exciting.
What do you got for points of emphasis this fall?
Defense is always going to be the same, leverage and tackle. You got shed blocks, you got leverage the ball, and you got that's the big points. And then within that, it's footwork and hand placement, and mastery of scheme. That's the game plan.
Any names specifically you see flash out there today, specifically?
I think DeForest is playing at an extremely high level. I think Tyree. A lot of guys are. I think DeForest, Tyree, Tui showing up. Henry Monroe showing up. Joe Walker showing up. Tyson and French are playing extremely well. I think the safety is playing well. And Ariana Springs is making a lot of plays.
Did your defense see a new QB today? If so, how'd the QB look?
We don't pay attention to that. For an assessment of the quarterbacks, you have to ask the offensive guys. When we're on the field, we're focusing on our guys, so we're seeing the reaction. Part of we're not watching those guys.
CP, how much actual teaching time is going into these early practices? Is there time to actually take a player aside and teach?
Well, fall camp is so awesome. The way Coach Helfrich sets it up, you have pretty much 25 to 35 minutes of individual per day. And you can break that up and organize it in any fashion that you need to communicate to your players. So some of those periods are fast and you're on sleds and you're moving fast. Some of them are slow way down, and some things that the young men haven't figured out on film. You can walk through them and put them in those situations, kind of working through. So the way Coach Helfrich structured it, you have time to really teach.
How important is that, though, especially in these early days, maybe going into week 2, having that time to actually teach?
Yeah, for the overall development of the defense or of the offense, for the overall development of the team, to have teaching periods where you can take it at your own pace, and the kids that are ahead, you can slow it down and use them to run the plays, and then take the new kids and give them the look. It's invaluable.
When does that change as fall camp moves into like the 3rd and 4th week, or does it ever change?
Coach Helfrich will get a pulse on how he feels the team is developing, and he'll make that call. But he's great in fall camp about giving you time, and he's great because he gives you all the tools, and just kind of lets you go and trust you to coach the kids.
What is Springs doing differently this year than it wasn't doing last year?
What I see Ariana doing, I see him more alert, more aware, and he's trusting his instincts. Last year, every now and then he'd flash through camp, and you see him see it, and he's going, and he's making more plays and touchdowns.
Last spring you said Henry Monzo is the most improved player defensively. Have you seen that carry over through the fall camp?
Yeah, thus far Henry's production has not dropped off. And he goes nonstop. What makes him special is his motor, because he can go. He's on the punt team. He's on all his special teams. He's on all his defensive groups, and he doesn't slow down. And it's amazing. He's one of those guys with that high motor.
You talked about using him at multiple spots. Do you think you'll try him still at like linebacker?
We haven't decided on our sub packages yet. The first 8-10 practices, we just want to see guys play. And then once we get to the first scrimmage, we'll look at, we'll put the top 12, top 22, top 30, and make a depth chart, and then decide what packages should we really emphasize. And that's when we'll make decisions where Henry plays and where all the guys play.
When the first scrimmage is done?
I don't.
Is Charles getting any looks on defense? And if not, are you still fighting to get him back?
Charles is so valuable to the team. Right now he's concentrating on special teams and offense, and then as we progress through, then we'll see where he fits in, and once we get to that point, where he fits in from a defensive standpoint.
What kind of improvement have you seen out of
French is extremely improved. He's a lot different than he was in the spring and the fall. Extremely improved. His leadership in terms of being vocal, and then he's making plays. And he's looking like he looks like a different player. It's kind of neat to see. French and Tyson both look. In fact, all those outside linebackers, French, Tyson, to Rodney, those guys are playing at a high level right now.
Coach, have you had a chance to look at Matt Mariota and kind of how he's done the first 5 practices and where he is in that evaluation of younger players?
Matt Mariota is a pretty good football player. It's interesting, you know, when you evaluate a high school player, you don't know exactly the system and what they're being taught, so you don't know. But the thing that we've discovered early is he's extremely bright. He has a very sharp football IQ. And so you can see him making plays that are pretty good plays, and they're very instinctive, but there's some knowledge involved in it. So I think he's, you know, as time progresses, I think he's going to be a pretty good player, but it's still really early.
Talk about the opportunity to teach kids the fast pace of the practices they're conducted at. Do you have time in between snaps to do individual corrections, or do you have to just kind of file it away and then when you have a half hour address them all at once?
You know, that's a very good question. The way practice works is we rotate groups. So if I need to catch Rodney, when Rodney's out, I can run over and grab Rodney. But what our practice forces you to do, there's not a lot of time to make a lot of comments. You have to pinpoint Rodney when you see this, do this, and then you have to get back to watching him.
It's a challenge just to find those spots then at times, I would guess.
Well, no, there's spots there. What it is, the challenge is, do I continue watching the group on the field, or do I run over and correct the group that just came off the field? And it's just balancing that. And it's fine because we have every play on film. There's some things you want to correct as the day unfolds, and those are the ones we try to address immediately.
First day in full pads, was there any of the new guys that kind of laid some big hits that you weren't expecting maybe when you brought them in?
Well, hard to say right now. I mean, a lot of our young guys are in the front, and then in the front it's just so it's hard to say until we watch it.
Is there any value you put on for Ugo and Ethan for getting here in the spring and where they're at now?
You know, I would definitely say that the guys that came in early, that Canton and Ugo, both are farther along than the normal freshmen. No question those guys are.
What are the bright spots on your defense? I know you haven't been past for one day, but what are the bright spots this first week for you?
You know, the biggest, coming off of spring and then the summer preseason, the biggest thing I've noticed with our defensive players is that they're farther along than they've been in the past. And so that's the evidence that they really were working this summer. Not when I say working, not just on the field, kind of going through the motions and lifting, but actually thinking football and doing some football-specific activities because we are farther along than the past.
EP, you're a veteran of this coaching staff, but only your second year as the DC. Mm-hmm. What have you learned, maybe different from last year, that you're bringing to this fall camp and maybe into this season? Anything?
You know, I think the biggest thing for us as a staff at this point is, in the second year, a lot of things you have to navigate your way through the first year, be it organization, be it when do we install this defense. It's all those little things that on the outside, a lot of people think, well, practice is easy. We've ironed those out, and we're in the second year of the system, so all those things are just taking place. And what we're able to do right now is a lot more evaluation. Or excuse me, what I'm able to do right now is a lot more evaluation, a lot more film, and then a lot more looking down the road. Here's what we got to do. We need to not do this, and just trying to navigate, and that's what I'm able to do a little more.